Surrender to Joy, Love Stronger Than Fear, a complete audio story. Subscribe for more inspiring Christian romance stories, testimonies, and faith-based content. Like if this story touches your heart and reminded you of God's healing power.
In the opulent heights of Reed Industries, Elizabeth Joy Reed found solace in her textile design studio, a creative sanctuary on the 42nd floor, bathed in the soft glow of morning light. Here, surrounded by bolts of silk and cashmere, she transformed her dreams into vibrant patterns, humming softly to herself, an echo of her gentle spirit. At just 23, she preferred the artistry of fabric to the cold, calculated world of business, where the legacy of her family's billion-dollar empire loomed over her like a shadow. As beams of sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating her latest collection inspired by wildflowers, Joy felt a flicker of hope. Each stitch was a heartbeat, a reminder that beauty existed in a world often dominated by harsh realities. Yet her reverie was shattered when her assistant, Carmen, appeared in the doorway, concern etched on her face. "Miss Reed, your mother is asking for you. She says it's urgent." Joy's heart lurched in her chest. The urgency in Carmen's voice propelled her into a whirlwind of anxiety. Her mother, Eliza Reed, had been battling cancer, a battle Joy had sensed but dared not confront. The elegant matriarch was her anchor, a source of love and wisdom that kept her afloat amidst the tumultuous tides of family expectations. Arriving at the executive suite, Joy found her mother seated behind a mahogany desk that had once belonged to Joy's grandfather. Eliza's once vibrant auburn hair now lay thin and gray, and her green eyes, mirrors of Joy's own, held a fierce intelligence dampened by illness. "Joy, darling, please sit down." Eliza's voice trembled with gravity. "We need to talk about some important matters. Mother, you should be resting. The doctors said—" "The doctors have given me less than 3 months to live," she interrupted softly, the words hanging heavy in the air like unspoken grief. Joy's world tilted at that moment, her mind racing. "What?" "But you said the treatments were working." "I lied," Eliza admitted, tears glistening like dew on fragile petals. "I wanted to protect you from this knowledge as long as possible. But now we must face reality and make preparations." As the truth sank in, Joy felt her heart splintering. "There have to be other treatments, other doctors." "Joy, listen to me," Eliza urged, her grip tightening around her daughter's hands. "There are things about our family, about your father, that you need to know." At the mention of her father, Marco Daxton, Joy's body tensed. He was a specter from her childhood, a man whose name was whispered in fear. He had divorced Eliza when Joy was just 2, disappointed in the daughter she had given him instead of the son he craved. "Your father is a dangerous man," Eliza continued. "When I divorced him, I ensured he couldn't touch the Reed fortune. Everything, Reed Industries, the family trust, will pass to you when I die. And Marco knows this." Joy's breath caught in her throat. "What are you saying?" she whispered, the implications dawning on her like a storm on the horizon. "I'm saying that once I'm gone, he will come for you. He'll try to force you into marriage, or worse, using violence and intimidation to regain control. I refuse to let that happen to you, sweetheart." Eliza's gaze was fierce, a mother's protective roar against the chaos threatening to engulf them. Tears streamed down Joy's cheeks as she whispered. "What can we do?" Eliza hesitated momentarily, before speaking again. "I've made arrangements, an alliance that will protect you after I'm gone." Joy's heart raced. "What kind of arrangements?" "A marriage arrangement," Eliza stated carefully, fear mixed with determination in her voice. "To Harper Jackson." The name struck Joy like a thunderclap. The Jackson family was renowned and respected, their business empire built on integrity, the complete antithesis of her father's legacy. "You want me to marry a stranger?" Joy's voice quivered, disbelief washing over her. "Not a stranger for long," her mother replied gently. "Harper Jackson is a good man. His family despises everything your father represents. They would protect you, respect you." Joy turned away, her heart aching at the thought of abandoning her dreams of love and choice. The city below spread like a vast tapestry, each thread representing the life she envisioned. Finding love, naturally, weaving her own destiny. Now her mother was asking her to surrender that dream for a lifeline of protection. "Have you already spoken to them?" Joy asked, her voice filled with resignation. "I've arranged a meeting for tomorrow. You don't have to decide anything now. Just meet Harper and hear him out. But remember, time is not on our side." As Joy closed her eyes against the tide of uncertainty, she whispered a childhood prayer, seeking wisdom and clarity. "Lord, give me wisdom. Show me the path you want me to walk, even when I can't see where it leads." And in that moment, beneath the weight of legacy and the looming shadow of the future, Joy felt an ember of determination flicker within her heart. No matter the path ahead, she would forge her own destiny with love, strength, and an unwavering spirit. In the sleek, modern boardroom of Reed Industries, the atmosphere was thick with the weight of impending decisions and unspoken fears. Joy sat beside her mother, Eliza, her navy suit tailored to give her an air of maturity that belied her 23 years. The faint hum of the air conditioning mingled with the distant sounds of the bustling city outside, but inside, silence reigned as they faced the Jackson family across the polished marble table. Adam Jackson, a man in his 50s, whose silver hair glimmered under the soft overhead lights, sat with a gentle expression that belied the gravity of the situation. His son, Harper, however, was a different story. At 30, Harper was devastatingly handsome, with dark hair styled impeccably and a charcoal suit that hinted at wealth and danger. But it was his gray eyes, sharp, observant, yet cold, that made Joy instinctively wrap her arms around herself, seeking comfort in her own presence. "Mrs. Reed," Adam began, his voice smooth and warm, attempting to bridge the chasm of awkwardness between them. "First, let me express our family's condolences for your illness. I know this must be an incredibly difficult time for you and Elizabeth." "Thank you," Eliza replied, her voice steady and gracious. "And thank you for considering our proposal. I know the circumstances are unusual." Adam nodded, glancing at Harper, whose impassive demeanor remained unbroken. "Before we discuss terms, I think it's important that Elizabeth understands exactly what we're offering and why." "Miss Reed," Harper spoke, his voice deep and controlled, slicing through the tension in the room. "I assume your mother has explained the threat your father represents?" Joy felt her throat tighten, but she nodded slowly, an unspoken understanding hanging between them. "My family has been at war with Marco Daxton for over a decade," Harper continued. "Not a physical war, but a battle for control over legitimate business interests versus his criminal enterprises. If you were to become my wife, you would have the full protection of the Jackson name and resources. Marco wouldn't dare touch you." The offer hung in the air, heavy and complex. "What would you expect in return?" Joy asked quietly, her hands clenched in her lap. Harper's eyes flickered, perhaps with respect for her forthrightness. "A merger of our business interests, access to Reed Industries' government contracts, and—" he paused, an uncharacteristic hesitation betraying his usual confidence. "And the appearance of a real marriage, public events, family functions, the kind of partnership that would convince your father and our enemies that this alliance is permanent." Joy's brow furrowed. "The appearance of a real marriage? But not an actual marriage," Adam interjected, a note of disapproval lacing his tone as he looked at Harper. "Harper seems to believe he can keep his heart out of this arrangement. I disagree." The air crackled with tension as Harper's jaw tightened. "Father, we discussed this. This is a business transaction that benefits everyone involved." His voice was firm, but Joy could sense a flicker of uncertainty. "I see," she said slowly, though the implications swirled around in her mind. "And what would this marriage look like day to day?" Harper's gaze held hers, steady and unwavering. "You would live in the Jackson family compound. You'd have your own wing, complete privacy, and the freedom to continue your work with Reed Industries." I travel frequently for business, so we wouldn't be in each other's way very often. But Joy's heart sank. This man was offering her protection, but it felt like a cage, gilded in gold. No love, no companionship, just the lonely echoes of a life lived next to someone she did not know. Actually, Harper, there are some conditions I need to add to this arrangement, Adam said, his voice cutting through Joy's spiraling thoughts. Harper's eyes narrowed, curiosity and frustration battling within them. What conditions? Adam's tone was firm and unwavering. If you're going to marry Elizabeth, it will be a real marriage in every sense. You will share a marital bedroom. You will have dinner together at least 5 nights a week. And God willing, children will come from this union within 5 years. Joy's heart raced. This was a whole new level of stakes, and she watched the interplay between father and son with growing concern. Adam Jackson was a man of principles, unwilling to allow his son to treat her as mere property. Harper was silent, his expression unreadable. Finally, he said, "Fine, I agree to your conditions." Eliza, ever the guardian of Joy's heart, spoke up. "And I have conditions as well. Harper, you must convince my daughter to marry you of her own free will. I won't force her into this, no matter how much I believe it's for her protection. She must choose you freely." Harper turned his attention back to Joy, those unsettling gray eyes, piercing into her very soul. "And do you think that's possible, Miss Reed? Could you choose to marry me freely?" Joy felt warmth flooding her cheeks as she struggled to meet his gaze. I don't know. I don't know you. And we'll have to remedy that," he replied, a glimmer of something softer passing over his sharp features. "Would you have dinner with me tonight? Not as part of this arrangement, but so we can get to know each other as people." Glancing at her mother, Joy saw a spark of encouragement there, and she took a breath. "All right," she said, her voice steady. "Dinner tonight." But Eliza wasn't finished. "There's one more thing," she said quietly, and Joy felt a shiver run down her spine. "The wedding would need to take place before I die. I want to see my daughter settled and protected before I go." Adam leaned forward, compassion etched into his features. "How long do we have?" Eliza's voice trembled as she whispered, "Less than 3 months." Silence enveloped them, and Joy blinked back the tears threatening to spill over. If this was truly happening, if she was genuinely considering this marriage to shield herself from the unknown dangers of a father she had never known, she needed to summon her strength. Harper broke the silence first. 3 months is enough time," he asserted. "If Elizabeth agrees to this marriage, we can make it work." "And you'll court her properly?" Adam pressed. "You'll give her reasons to choose you beyond mere protection?" Harper looked directly at Joy, and in that moment she saw something almost vulnerable within him. "I'll do my best to be worthy of her choice," he murmured, a promise resting in his tone. After the Jacksons departed, Joy remained in the empty boardroom with her mother, uncertainty swirling around them like a thick fog. "What do you think?" Eliza asked gently. Joy considered her words carefully. "I think Harper Jackson is the most complicated man I've ever met. He's intelligent, undeniably successful, and I believe he would protect me. But Mother, he's also cold, closed off. I'm not sure he's capable of the kind of marriage his father is demanding. Sometimes the coldest hearts just need the right person to warm them," Eliza observed, her voice soothing. "And Joy, you have a gift for bringing light into dark places. It's who you are." That evening, as Joy prepared for her dinner with Harper, she knelt beside her bed, feeling a profound weight settle upon her shoulders. She prayed with a fervor she hadn't felt in years. "Lord, I don't understand why this is happening. Why you're asking me to consider marrying a stranger, or why Mother has to die when I need her most. But I trust that you have a plan even when I can't see it. Please give me wisdom tonight. Help me to see Harper Jackson's heart, not just his walls. And if this is your will for my life, please prepare both our hearts for what's to come. In Jesus' name, amen." In the heart of the city, Under a canopy of twinkling stars, Harper chose an intimate restaurant, a hidden gem far removed from the bustling social circles that surrounded them. Joy, her heart fluttering with a blend of excitement and trepidation, arrived wearing a simple black dress that clung to her figure, accentuated by a strand of pearls that shimmered softly against her skin. She was determined to give this strange courtship an honest chance, though the weight of her father's legacy loomed heavily in her mind. As she entered, the warmth of the restaurant enveloped her like a comforting embrace. The air was rich with the scent of sautéed garlic and simmering herbs, and the soft murmur of conversation surrounded her like a gentle tide. Spotting Harper at a corner table, she was taken aback by the sight of him in slacks and a navy sweater that contrasted sharply with the rigidity of his usual business suit. In that moment, his gray eyes, often betraying a cool detachment, shimmered with a hue that suggested vulnerability. He stood as she approached, his demeanor noticeably less guarded than it had been in the boardroom. "Elizabeth," he greeted, pulling out her chair, a hint of warmth threading through his usual formality. "Thank you for coming." "Please, call me Joy," she replied, settling into her seat. "Everyone does." "Joy," he echoed. And the way he said her name made her stomach flutter unexpectedly, igniting a spark of hope amidst the uncertainty. As they ordered wine and shared appetizers, the atmosphere buzzed with light banter about the restaurant's charm and the city's vibrancy. Yet beneath the surface, Joy sensed a brewing storm. Harper was preparing to dive into deeper waters. "I think I should be honest about something," he began, leaning back, his gaze intent on her face. "I didn't expect you to be... you." Curiosity piqued. She leaned forward. "What did you expect?" "Someone harder. Someone more like your father, I suppose. A product of this world of power and manipulation, skilled in its use." He paused, his voice dropping. "Instead, you seem almost innocent, genuine. It's refreshing, but it makes me wonder if you understand what you'd be getting into by marrying me." "Why don't you tell me? What would I be getting into?" she challenged, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and intrigue. Harper's expression darkened, and she felt the weight of his past pressing down on the table between them. The Jackson family operates in a world where everything is strategic. Every relationship has political implications. I've spent the last decade learning to be ruthless when necessary, making hard decisions that benefit the family business, even when they cost me personally. Joy's heart ached for him. "You're trying to warn me away." "Maybe I am," he admitted, a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. "You deserve someone who can love you the way a woman like you should be loved. Someone who hasn't had his heart frozen by business and betrayal." Compassion welled up within her for this man, so clearly trying to protect her from the shadows of his past. "What froze your heart, Harper?" As he spoke of his brother Marcus, a painful truth unfolded. Drugs had woven a dark web around their family, leading to Marcus's tragic overdose. "It destroyed him slowly, and watching it destroyed something in me," Harper confessed, his voice a quiet tremor. "When he died, I swore I'd never let emotion make me vulnerable again." Joy listened intently, her heart swelling with empathy for his loss. "I'm sorry. That must have been devastating for your whole family." "It brought my father to Christ," Harper said bitterly. "He found faith and forgiveness. I found focus and determination. We both dealt with grief in our own way." She could see the pain etched into his features, a mask he wore to shield himself from the world. "And you've been alone ever since?" "I date. I have companionship when I need it. But I don't do relationships, and I don't do love. It's safer for everyone involved." "Safer maybe, but lonelier too," she replied softly, a lilt of truth in her voice that caught him off guard. Harper's surprise sparked a flicker of connection between them. "You're not what I expected," he remarked. His defenses momentarily lowered. "Neither are you," Joy countered. "In the boardroom today you seemed controlled, almost arrogant. Now you seem sad." His walls crumbled slightly, but they reformed quickly. I'm not sad, I'm realistic. About what? She pressed, intrigued. About what this marriage would be, he stated firmly. A partnership, an arrangement. Protection for you, strategic advantage for my family, nothing more. Frustration surged within her. And what about your father's conditions? The shared bedroom, the dinners together, the expectation of children. Harper's jaw clenched. We'll make it work. People have successful marriages based on much less. Have you ever been in love, Harper? She asked unexpectedly. The question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken emotions. Once, he replied after a long pause. Before Marcus died. What happened? She inquired gently. She decided she preferred my money to my company. When Marcus died and I became heir to everything, suddenly I was much more interesting to her. It taught me that love is just another form of transaction. Joy felt her heart break for him. Not all love is like that. Isn't it? He challenged, his voice harsh. You're considering marrying me for protection. I'm considering marrying you for business advantages. How is that different? Because neither of us is pretending to feel something we don't, Joy asserted. And because both of us are being honest about what we're offering and what we need. His eyes softened with genuine curiosity. And what do you need, Joy? The question pierced through her defenses, driving straight to her heart. I need to feel safe. I need to know that someone will protect the things I care about. My mother's legacy, Reed Industries, the people who depend on our company. But Harker, I also need to feel valued for who I am, not just what I can provide. I need companionship, conversation, someone who sees me as more than just an asset to be managed. And if I can't give you that, he asked quietly, vulnerability creeping back into his eyes. Joy met his gaze, unwavering. Then I'll have to decide whether protection alone is enough to build a life on. Their dinner concluded in contemplative silence, each grappling with the weight of their revelations. As Harper walked her to her car, Joy's heart felt heavy with confusion. This man was offering her safety and security, yet he was also proposing a life devoid of love, emotional intimacy, and the kind of marriage she had always dreamed of. Joy, Harper said as they reached her car, his voice barely above a whisper. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you believe in God? The question caught her off guard. Yes, very much. My faith is important to me. Harper nodded slowly, a flicker of something deep in his eyes. My father would be pleased to hear that. He's been praying for me to find a godly wife. And what do you believe? Joy prodded, sensing the weight of his turmoil. After a long pause, he murmured, I believe God exists. I believe he's good. I just don't believe he's particularly interested in my happiness. Tears pricked Joy's eyes at the raw pain in his voice, and without thinking, she reached out to touch his arm. Harper, that's not true. God loves you more than you can imagine. He wants good things for your life, not just success and power, but joy and peace and love. As he looked down at her hand on his arm, something within him seemed to tremble, a flicker of hope battling against the darkness. I used to believe that, he whispered, a crack in his armor revealing the man he once was. Before Marcus died, before I learned how cruel the world really is. The world is cruel sometimes, Joy agreed, her voice steady. But it's also beautiful, and God is bigger than the cruelty. Gently, Harper removed her hand from his arm, but not before she felt the tremor of his resolve. You should go home, he said, his tone shifting back to business. Think about everything we discussed tonight. And Joy? Yes? Don't say yes to this marriage because you think you can save me. I'm not looking for salvation. I'm looking for a partnership. Make sure you understand the difference. As Joy drove home, her heart weighed heavy with confusion and an unexpected tenderness for Harper Jackson. He was trying so hard to convince her that he was incapable of love. Yet she had seen glimpses of the man he could be again, if someone could reach beyond his walls. That night, kneeling beside her bed, tears streamed down her face as she prayed. Lord, I don't know what you're doing here. Harper is so hurt, so closed off from love. But I see something in him. Something good and wounded and beautiful. If you're calling me to marry him, please show me how to reach his heart. Show me how to be the wife he needs, not just the business partner he thinks he wants. And please, heal whatever is broken inside him. Help him to believe in your love again, and maybe someday, in mine. In the heart of the bustling metropolis, where the skyline pierced the heavens and the streets thrummed with life, Joy found herself at the center of a courtship that felt more like a carefully orchestrated performance than a blossoming romance. Over the course of 2 weeks, Harper unveiled his grand plan, each day meticulously crafted with the precision of a seasoned businessman. Every morning, an extravagant bouquet of flowers arrived at her office, bright blooms that filled the air with a sweet fragrance, but bore no trace of her personal tastes. Dinners at the city's most exclusive restaurants followed, where the menu was a parade of opulence, yet the atmosphere stifled genuine conversation under the weight of expectation. Cultural events, too, became their backdrop, designed not for shared enjoyment, but for the spectacle of their union, a display of wealth and sophistication. As Joy navigated this lavish whirlwind, a troubling realization began to settle in her heart. Everything was perfect, yet nothing was tailor-made for her. It felt as if Harper was ticking boxes off a list titled, "How to Court a Woman," the essence of authenticity lost amidst the extravagant gestures. The third week marked a turning point. Harper invited her to a charity gala for children battling cancer, a soiree shimmering with hope, yet tinged with raw emotion. Amidst the chatter of the affluent mingling, Joy's heart was drawn to a little girl in a wheelchair, her bright pink wig a beacon of innocence. The child wheeled over with an infectious smile, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Are you a princess?" she asked, her voice a melody of childhood wonder. Joy knelt to meet her gaze, warmth flooding her chest. "No, sweetie, I'm just Joy. What's your name?" The girl introduced herself as Anna, bravely sharing her battle with cancer, declaring, "Mommy says I'm the bravest girl in the whole world." Joy's heart swelled as she engaged with Anna, the two of them lost in a world of teddy bears and dreams of becoming a veterinarian. Laughter flowed freely, bridging the gap between innocence and the harshness of reality. Nearby, Harper observed, a flicker of something unrecognizable flashing across his face, pain intermingled with a longing that seemed foreign to him. As the evening wore on, Anna's mother arrived to collect her, and the little girl wrapped her arms around Joy in a tight hug, whispering, "I hope you stay a princess forever. You're the nicest princess I ever met." Joy felt a warmth envelop her, yet as Anna wheeled away, she sensed the chill that descended between her and Harper. The silence in the car felt heavy, thick with unspoken words, each mile home amplifying the tension. "Are you all right?" she ventured, breaking the stillness as they stood outside her apartment. His response was a taut string of words. "Why did you do that?" Confusion washed over her. "Do what?" "Spend half the evening talking to that child instead of networking with the people who could actually benefit our family's business interests." Joy stared at him, disbelief etched across her features. "Harper, she's a 7-year-old with cancer. She wanted someone to listen to her." His voice was clipped, revealing a disconnect that chilled her heart. "And that's admirable, but we were there for a purpose. These events are opportunities to build relationships that matter." Joy's anger surged like a tide. That little girl matters. Every child fighting for their life matters more than any business deal you could possibly make at a party. Harper's expression hardened, a wall rising between them. "That kind of thinking is exactly why you need someone like me to protect you. The world doesn't run on good intentions. It runs on power and strategy and knowing which battles are worth fighting." Tears of frustration pricked Joy's eyes, her heart aching for the innocence lost in Harper's perspective. "Is that really what you believe? That caring about sick children is a waste of time?" In that moment, under the dim glow of the streetlights, Joy began to realize that the courtship painted in exquisite colors was merely a facade, masking a deeper conflict between her values and Harper's ambition. As the chill of the evening air wrapped around them, Joy stood resolute, ready to confront the choices that lay ahead, her heart whispering of compassion and connection amidst the chaos of a world too often driven by cold ambition. As the evening sun disappeared behind the city skyline, Joy felt an unfamiliar weight settle in her chest, a heaviness that clawed at her heart. The air was thick with the scent of rain-soaked earth, mingling with the faint aroma of blooming jasmine from the nearby park. She turned to Harper, her voice barely above a whisper, as she challenged his silence. "And you think a child's smile isn't important?" Harper's gaze remained fixed ahead, his silence a wall between them. "Take me home," Joy said, the plea slipping from her lips like a fragile bird set free. The car ride was a heavy blanket of quiet, enveloping them in a cocoon of unspoken words and unresolved feelings. As they arrived at her apartment, Harper walked her to the door, the gravel crunching beneath their feet echoing the tension in the air. Turning to face him, Joy's heart raced. "Harper, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest." "All right," he replied, his tone cautious, like a man stepping onto thin ice. "When you see me with that little girl, when you watch me care about people who can't do anything to advance your business interests, what do you really feel?" The question hung between them, electrifying the space. Harper was silent for what felt like an eternity, his thoughts a whirlwind obscured by a stormy facade. Finally, he spoke, his voice low and hesitant. "I feel like I'm watching someone who's going to get hurt, someone who's too good for the world she's about to enter." Joy's heart softened, the anger that had blazed within her, now flickering like a candle in the wind. "And that makes you angry?" He hesitated, as if the truth were a boulder lodged in his throat. "It makes me protective," he admitted, vulnerability seeping into his voice. "It makes me want to build walls around you so the world can't touch your goodness. But it also makes me afraid that I'll be the one who destroys it. Harper, what if instead of destroying my goodness, you let it heal some of your wounds?" Joy's voice was gentle, a soothing balm to his guarded heart. "I don't have wounds," he shot back too quickly, the armor around his heart clanging shut with a finality that stung. "I have priorities." "Everyone has wounds," Joy countered softly, her eyes searching his. "The question is whether we let them make us smaller, or whether we let God use them to make us more compassionate." At the mention of God, Harper's expression darkened, his walls rising again like a fortress. "God," he scoffed bitterly. "Right. I forgot you believe he cares about our personal happiness." "I believe he cares about our hearts," Joy corrected, her voice steady and unwavering. "And Harper, your heart is so wounded that you think caring about a sick child is a strategic mistake. That's not strength, that's fear." Harper's face went cold, a mask of indifference that barely concealed the turmoil beneath. "I think this conversation is over." Joy felt a pang of sorrow, the weight of her own truth pressing down. "I think this courtship is over," she said quietly, her heart breaking with each word. "Harper, you're a good man underneath all that armor, but you're so afraid of being hurt again that you've forgotten how to actually live. Until you remember that, you can't really offer me a marriage. You can only offer me a contract." He stared at her, and in that moment, Joy glimpsed a flicker of desperation in his eyes, a reflection of the fear that bound him. But when he finally spoke, his voice was steady, the conviction chilling. "The contract is all I have to offer. The question is whether it's enough." "It's not," Joy replied simply, her heart heavy with sorrow. "I'm sorry, Harper, but it's not." With that, she turned and stepped inside, leaving him standing on her doorstep, a solitary figure, lost in the shadows. She didn't look back, not wanting to witness the pain that lingered in his gaze. That night, as the moon hung high in the sky, Joy cried herself to sleep, tears soaking her pillow, not just for her broken dreams, but for a man who had convinced himself that love was a dangerous gamble, too precarious to risk. In the silence of her room, the weight of unfulfilled potential hung heavily, the promise of what could have been fading into the night. As dawn stretched its golden fingers across the horizon, Joy stirred from her slumber to find her mother Eliza perched at the kitchen table. The fragile light played off the porcelain cup cradled between her hands, a stark contrast to the worry etched across her face. The air was thick with the aroma of brewed coffee, yet it felt heavy with an unsaid concern. "I heard you come in late last night." Eliza's voice was soft, almost hesitant. "How did the gala go?" Joy, still wrestling with the emotional tide that had swept over her the previous night, poured herself a steaming cup of coffee, the warmth seeping through her fingers. She sank into the chair opposite her mother, searching for the right words to untangle the complexity of her feelings. "I think I made a mistake," she finally confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. Eliza's face drained of color, her hand pausing mid-stir. "What kind of mistake?" Joy inhaled deeply, steeling herself to recount the night's events. How Harper had reacted to her rejection, how his cold dismissal of Anna's plight had throbbed painfully in her heart. "I told Harper I wouldn't marry him," she revealed, the weight of those words hanging in the air like a storm cloud. Eliza's eyes widened, concern deepening. "Joy, sweetheart, what happened?" As Joy recounted the evening, her voice grew stronger, punctuating the fears that had clawed at her throughout the night. "He's so afraid of caring about anything that doesn't serve his strategic interests. He thinks love is weakness, and kindness is foolishness. How can I marry someone who sees the world that way?" The kitchen fell into a contemplative silence, the only sound the gentle clinking of Eliza's spoon against her cup. After a moment, she broke the stillness with a question that surprised Joy. "Can I tell you something about your biological father that I've never shared before?" Joy nodded, sensing the gravity in her mother's tone. "When I first met Marco, he wasn't the monster he became. He was charming, yes, but also capable of tenderness. I remember one evening, early in our relationship, when we passed a homeless veteran on the street. Marco not only gave the man money, he stopped and talked to him for 20 minutes, treating him with dignity and respect." Joy's heart sank. "What happened to him?" "Power," Eliza replied, her voice steady but somber. "The more successful his criminal enterprise became, the harder he had to harden his heart to survive in that world. He eventually convinced himself that compassion was a liability he couldn't afford." A chill raced down Joy's spine as understanding washed over her. "And you think Harper is heading down the same path?" "I think Harper is a man who's been hurt badly and has decided that the safest way to live is without emotional risk," Eliza said carefully. "But Joy, there's something different about him that gives me hope." Joy leaned in, intrigued yet skeptical. "What?" "His father. Adam Jackson is a man of genuine faith. He's not going to let his son become completely consumed by business. Those conditions he insisted on, sharing a bedroom, having dinner together, expecting children, those aren't just about appearance. He's trying to force Harper into situations where his heart will have to engage." Joy's brow furrowed as she considered her mother's words. But what if Harper's heart can't engage? What if he's too damaged? Eliza reached across the table, her hands enveloping Joy's with warmth and reassurance. "Then you'll have to decide whether you're willing to trust God to do what seems impossible." Confusion shadowed Joy's features. "What do you mean?" "I mean that sometimes God calls us to love people who don't know how to love us back, trusting that our love will eventually soften their hearts. It's risky, and it's painful, and there are no guarantees. But Joy, I've watched you your entire life, and you have a gift for bringing light into dark places. Maybe Harper needs that light more than he knows." Before Joy could respond, the shrill ring of her phone sliced through the tension in the room. It was Harper. "Joy, I need to see you." His voice was strained, urgent with an undercurrent of panic. "Can you come to the hospital?" Her heart raced, panic clawing at her throat. "The hospital? Are you hurt? It's not me. It's Anna, the little girl from last night. She was brought to the emergency room early this morning. She's asking for the princess she met last night. Joy's heart lurched at the thought of the fragile child who had captured her heart. In that moment, she realized that her journey with Harper, and with love, was only just beginning. Joy's heart clenched as she clutched her phone to her chest, the words echoing in her mind, "I'll be right there." The ticking clock was relentless, each second stretching into eternity as she rushed to the hospital, her breath quickening with each step. When she finally burst into the pediatric ward, the sterile smell of antiseptic and the faint beeping of machines surrounded her, creating a heavy atmosphere that pressed on her chest. 40 minutes had felt like a lifetime, and now she found Harper leaning against the wall, his hands shoved deep into his pockets, masking a storm of emotions behind a mask of stoicism. "How is she?" Joy's voice trembled, fear lacing her words. "Not good," Harper replied, his voice barely rising above a whisper. "Her cancer spread faster than the doctors expected. They don't think—" He trailed off, unable to voice the unthinkable. A wave of despair washed over Joy, tears pricking at the corners of her eyes. "Where are her parents?" she managed to ask, her heart aching for the little girl. "Her mother is with her now. Her father died in a car accident 2 years ago. It's just the two of them." Harper's voice cracked, revealing the weight of his own sadness. "Joy, she keeps asking for you. She wants to show you something." Without a moment's hesitation, Joy pushed open the door to Anna's room. The sight struck her like a punch to the gut. There lay Anna, dwarfed by the large bed, her small frame fragile and pale, yet a spark of life ignited in her eyes when they met Joy's. "Princess, you came!" Anna exclaimed, her voice a weak but radiant beam of sunshine, piercing through the clouds of despair. "Of course I came, sweetheart," Joy replied, settling carefully on the edge of the bed, her heart swelling with love. "How are you feeling?" "I'm okay," Anna lied with a brave smile, her attempt to mask the reality of her situation, only deepening Joy's sorrow. "But the doctors say I might have to go to heaven soon to be with my daddy." Joy's heart shattered at those words, but she kept her voice steady, her hands trembling as they reached for Anna's. "Are you scared?" Anna's brow furrowed in contemplation. "A little. But Daddy is there, and Jesus is there, so it might be nice. But I'm sad because Mommy will be lonely." Joy's gaze flickered to Anna's mother, curled in a corner, tears streaming down her cheeks, and the enormity of their pain engulfed her. How could one small girl hold so much wisdom amidst such turmoil? "Anna, you wanted to show me something?" Joy prompted gently, sensing the urgency in the girl's eyes. With a flourish, Anna reached beneath her pillow and produced a crayon drawing. "I made this for you last night when we got home from the party. It's you and me in heaven, playing with all the puppies I'm going to take care of when I'm an angel." The drawing was a burst of color against the sterile white of the hospital sheets. 2 stick figures surrounded by a rainbow of dogs, a bright yellow sun beaming down, and the words "Princess Joy and Anna Forever Friends" scrawled in the careful handwriting of a 7-year-old. Joy's heart swelled with emotion, tears flowing freely down her cheeks as she whispered, "It's the most beautiful picture I've ever seen. Thank you, sweetheart." Anna's smile was radiant. "Will you keep it forever, so you remember me?" Joy nodded, her voice thick with emotion. "I'll treasure it always." As Anna's gaze drifted past Joy, she focused on Harper standing in the doorway, his expression a mix of pain and longing. "Is that your prince?" she asked innocently, cutting through the tension in the room. Joy glanced back at Harper, a pang of sympathy filling her heart as she replied, "That's Harper. He's my friend." "He looks sad," Anna observed, her childlike honesty striking a chord. "Maybe you should give him a hug. Hugs make everything better." In that moment, Joy realized the truth in Anna's words. As Joy stood, she walked over to Harper, wrapping her arms around him in an embrace that spoke of shared grief and unspoken understanding. The hug was a small light in the darkness, a reminder that even in the face of such overwhelming sadness, connection and love could still shine through. In the dim light of the hospital room, The air was heavy with the scent of antiseptic and the faint sweetness of flowers that clung to the corners. Joy stood by the door, her heart tight as she watched Harper. His face, usually so composed, was now etched with sorrow, crumbling under the weight of a child's innocent question. "Are you sad?" the little girl Anna had asked, her wide eyes unguarded and pure. Without thinking, Joy stepped closer, crossing the threshold, feeling the cool floor beneath her feet as if it were a bridge between their worlds. "She's right," Joy said softly, her voice barely more than a whisper, as if afraid to break the fragile silence. "You do look sad." Harper's gaze fell to the floor, his voice cracking like glass. I can't watch this. She's just a baby." Joy's heart ached for him. This was not merely a business decision he grappled with. This was a man haunted by loss, a man who had mourned his brother and could not bear to witness another innocent soul suffer. In that moment of understanding, Joy reached out, her hand hovering in the air before she set it gently on his arm. "Harper, it's okay to care. It's okay to hurt for her." "No, it's not," he shot back, the words tumbling out in a rush, thick with anguish. "Because caring doesn't change anything. It doesn't save them. It just makes you weak when you need to be strong." Joy felt the sharp edge of his pain, and she replied, "Or maybe it makes you human when you need to remember what that feels like." Harper's eyes met hers, a flicker of desperation beneath the walls he had built around himself. "How do you do it? How do you open your heart to people you know you're going to lose?" "Because the love is worth the pain," she said simply, her words wrapping around him like a warm embrace. "And sometimes the love we give is the only thing that makes the pain bearable for them." Silence stretched between them, thick and heavy. Before Harper moved, his steps slow and deliberate as he approached Anna's bedside. "Hi, Anna," he murmured, his voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. "I'm Harper." Anna's face lit up, a joyful spark igniting her tired eyes. "Are you going to marry Princess Joy?" she asked, her innocence cutting through the tension like a knife. Harper glanced at Joy, the weight of his unresolved feelings pushing against the barriers of his heart. I hope so, if she'll have me." "She will," Anna declared confidently, her small hand gesturing grandly as if she were sealing a royal decree. "She's nice, and you look like you need someone nice." His voice thick with emotion, Harper replied, "Anna, can I tell you something? You remind me of someone very special. My brother Marcus. He used to draw pictures for me when we were kids." "Was he sick too?" Anna asked, her bluntness a testament to childhood honesty. "Yes," Harper said quietly, surrendering to the memories that washed over him like a gentle tide. "And I wasn't brave enough to sit with him, like Princess Joy sat with you. I was too scared." Anna reached for his hand, her tiny fingers curling around his with a warmth that felt like hope. "It's okay to be scared. Mommy says being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you love someone more than you're afraid." Tears streamed down Harper's face, mingling with the remnants of a grief he had buried deep. Here was a child offering him the forgiveness he had never given himself. "Anna," he croaked, "would it be okay if I stayed here with you and Princess Joy for a while?" Anna beamed. "I'd like that. Will you help me color another picture? This one can be for you." And so for the next 3 hours, Harper Jackson, the billionaire businessman known for his impenetrable facade, sat beside a dying child's bed, coloring pictures and listening to stories about puppies in heaven. Joy watched, her heart swelling with hope, as she witnessed the man he used to be emerge from behind years of carefully constructed walls. When Anna finally fell asleep, her small hand still clutching Harper's, he turned to Joy. Vulnerability etched in every line of his face. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, the confession spilling from him like water breaking free from a dam. "About last night, about everything. You were right. I was afraid. I'm still afraid." "What are you afraid of?" Joy asked gently, her voice a soothing balm. "Of losing everyone I care about. of not being strong enough when people need me to be strong, of... He glanced down at Anna's peaceful face, his chest tightening. Of loving you and failing you, the way I failed Marcus. Joy's heart shattered open as she reached for him, her voice soft yet firm. Harper, you didn't fail Marcus. Addiction is a disease. It wasn't your fault. I could have tried harder. I could have spent more time with him instead of focusing on business. I could have... Joy interrupted, her tone gentle but resolute. You could have driven yourself crazy with what-ifs. Or you could honor his memory by choosing to love the people who are still here. Harper was silent for a long moment, his eyes distant as he wrestled with the truth she had laid bare. Then, gathering courage, he said, Joy, I want to ask you something, and I need you to know that whatever you answer, I'll understand. The air crackled with anticipation as she nodded. What is it? Will you marry me? Not because of the protection, not because of our family's business interests, but because... He struggled with the words, each one heavy with the weight of his longing. Because I want to learn how to love someone the way you deserve to be loved. I want to be the kind of man who sees a sick child and thinks first about comforting her, not about strategic advantage. I want to be worthy of your light. Joy felt tears streaming down her face, each drop a testament to the journey they had traveled together. And if I can't teach you, what if you're too hurt to heal? Harper looked down at Anna's peaceful face, the innocence of childhood, a stark contrast to the turmoil in his heart. Then at least I'll have tried. At least I won't spend the rest of my life wondering what might have been possible if I'd had the courage to be vulnerable. Harper, Joy said softly, her voice a promise. Yes, I'll marry you. Not because I think I can save you, but because I think maybe we can save each other. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Anna took her final breaths, surrounded by the people she loved. The faint scent of lavender and old books lingered in the air of the hospital room, where Joy and Harper held her slender hands, each squeeze a silent promise. In her last moments, Anna whispered, "Take care of each other. Love is stronger than being scared," her voice barely a whisper, yet echoing profound wisdom that would haunt and guide them in the days to come. Her departure shattered something deep within Harper, a fracture that revealed both his vulnerability and his strength. At Anna's funeral, he stood before friends and family, his heart aching, but his voice steady as he shared how a 7-year-old girl had taught him more about courage and love than all his business successes ever had. "Being brave doesn't mean you don't feel fear," he spoke, tears glistening in his eyes. "It means you choose love anyway." Anna chose to trust in hope and believe in tomorrow, even knowing she might not see it. "I want to live with that kind of courage." Joy watched from the front pew, a blend of pride and sorrow swelling in her chest as she observed the man Harper was becoming, still strong and intelligent, yet now imbued with a newfound compassion and vulnerability that made him even more compelling. After the service, as they walked toward their car, Harper halted, uncertainty in his eyes now gone. "Joy, I want to do something for Anna's memory. I want to establish a foundation, not just a tax write-off, but something real. Something that brings comfort to sick children and their families." Joy felt her heart swell with admiration for this man, who had begun to see beyond profits to the essence of human dignity. "That's beautiful, Harper. What did you have in mind?" His gaze turned thoughtful, a combination of things: medical research funding, family support services, and art therapy programs. "I want every child in pediatric oncology to have access to creativity. Anna's drawing changed my life. Maybe other children's art can change other lives too." The following week, Joy mingled with the buzz of their engagement announcement, sending ripples through society pages and business analysts alike. Yet, lurking in the shadows was Marco Daxton, a man whose criminal empire began to take notice, and whose displeasure was palpable. At a family dinner that felt heavier than usual, Adam Jackson leaned in, concern etched on his face. "Marco's been asking questions. My sources say he's considering making a move before the wedding. A chill ran through Joy, but Harper's hand found hers beneath the table, grounding her. "Let him come," he said quietly, strength flowing from him. "I'm not the same man I was a month ago. I have something worth fighting for now." "We have something worth fighting for," Joy corrected, squeezing his hand, feeling a fierce commitment swell between them. The wedding was planned for 6 weeks away, a timeline designed to ensure Eliza could see her daughter settled before her condition worsened. Joy dived into preparations, determined to create joyful moments for her mother. But as the date drew closer, Eliza faded, the doctors adjusting their timelines, speaking in hushed tones of weeks, not months. "Mother, maybe we should postpone," Joy suggested one afternoon, anxiety tightening her chest as she sat beside Eliza's bed. "The wedding isn't as important as spending time with you." Eliza, with a flicker of strength, snapped back, "Joy Elizabeth Reed, don't you dare postpone that wedding. Harper Jackson is the answer to every prayer I've prayed for your protection and happiness. I want to see you become his wife." Joy hesitated, uncertainty creeping in, but Eliza's resolve was unwavering. "God's timing is perfect, even when we can't see the whole plan." 3 days later, Eliza suffered a sudden turn for the worse. The doctors estimated perhaps a week left. Harper found Joy weeping in the hospital chapel, despair enveloping her. "We're moving the wedding up," he stated simply, sitting beside her with reassurance. "Tomorrow, if the chaplain can do it. Here at the hospital, so your mother can be there." Joy's heart raced at his determination. "Harper, you don't have to." "Yes, I do," he replied firmly. "Your mother needs to see you married and protected. And Joy, I don't want to wait another day to call you my wife. Not because of business arrangements, but because I love you." Those words hung between them, fragile yet powerful, as Joy's heart brimmed. "You love me?" she murmured, disbelief etched in her voice. Harper cupped her face in his hands, his touch warm, tender. "I love your compassion for sick children. I love the way you see the best in people, even when they can't see it in themselves. I love your faith, your strength, your kindness. You helped me remember what it felt like to be human again." Joy felt her heart might burst with emotion. "I love you too, Harper. I love your hidden gentleness, your fierce protectiveness, the way you're brave enough to change and grow. I love the man you are and the man you're becoming." They married the next afternoon in the hospital chapel with Eliza, frail yet radiant, in a wheelchair serving as Joy's matron of honor, and Adam as Harper's best man. Joy wore a simple white dress, hastily bought that morning, Harper donning a navy suit, their vows exchanged amidst a small gathering of family and friends. And as they promised to love one another, through sickness and health, Joy felt the presence of God enveloping them, the intimacy of their love transcending the sterile walls of the hospital chapel. "I promise to protect not just your life, but your heart," Harper vowed, his voice steady. "I promise to be worthy of your love every day, to choose vulnerability over walls, compassion over strategy. I promise to love you through your fears and your healing," Joy replied, her voice full of warmth. "I promise to be your partner in all things, to stand with you against whatever comes, to believe in the man God created you to be." When the chaplain pronounced them husband and wife, Harper's kiss was sweet. A promise of a lifetime spent learning how to love one another deeply. Eliza wept joyful tears, relief flooding her heart. Her daughter was safe, protected, and genuinely loved. But just 4 days after their wedding, Eliza passed away peacefully, whispering her final blessing. "Be happy, my darling girl, you chose well." The weight of grief was suffocating, yet within that darkness, Joy found strength in Harper's presence. He held her through nights that felt endless, guiding her as she navigated the tumult of loss mixed with relief that her mother was no longer suffering. "She was proud of you," Harper told her one evening, as they sat in the shared sanctuary of their bedroom. "She told me the night before she died that watching you choose love over fear was the greatest gift she could have asked for." She said something similar about you, Joy replied, feeling the warmth of his embrace as they melded into a comforting silence. She said you'd found your heart again. Their marriage was still new, still an exploration of shared habits and preferences. Harper, meticulous and methodical, contrasted with Joy's spontaneous flair. Yet together they began to weave their differences into something beautiful. Harper brought stability, while Joy added warmth and spontaneity. 2 months after their wedding, the Anna Foundation launched, with Joy as its creative force and Harper managing the operations. Their first initiative focused on funding art therapy in pediatric hospitals, transforming their pain into a source of solace for others. But one night, as Harper returned home, his face was etched with a grim expression, overwhelming Joy with dread. "We have a problem," he said, pouring himself a scotch with unsteady hands. "Marco made a move today." Joy's heart dropped. "What kind of move?" "He's filed a lawsuit, claiming your mother's will was signed under duress, asserting that the Reed family fortune rightfully belongs to him as your father. It's baseless, but it ties up your inheritance in legal proceedings that could take years." "Can he do that?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "His lawyers seem to think so, but Joy, that's not the worst of it." Harper took her hands, his grip firm. "He's also claiming our marriage is fraudulent, that it was arranged to keep him from his rightful inheritance. He's demanding a full investigation." Panic surged through her. "What does that mean?" "It means we're about to be under intense scrutiny. Investigators will examine every aspect of our relationship, looking for evidence that our marriage is fake." His jaw tightened with determination. "If they can prove we married for business rather than love, the courts could invalidate our marriage and force you to return to your maiden name. Which would make me vulnerable to Marco again," Joy realized, her stomach twisting. "Exactly, Joy. I need you to know that no matter what happens, I will protect you. Even if they invalidate our marriage, even if I lose every business advantage this union brought, I will not let that man touch you." Tears threatened to spill. "What if they can prove it was arranged? What if—" "Then we tell them the truth," Harper said, his voice resolute. "Yes, our marriage began as a business arrangement, but it became real. That we fell in love despite ourselves. What started as protection became the greatest blessing of both our lives." "Will they believe that?" she asked, uncertainty gnawing at her. Harper paused, then replied, "I don't know. But even if we lose everything, the business advantages, the social standing, all of it, I don't regret marrying you. Not for a second." Joy's heart swelled with love for him, this man willing to sacrifice everything for her safety. "I don't regret it either," she said softly. "Whatever happens, we face it together." The following weeks were a blur of relentless legal battles, lawyers dissecting their lives and relationship under the harsh glow of scrutiny. Joy felt exposed, humiliated, but the community surrounding them rallied in support. Adam Jackson, with unwavering loyalty, testified about Harper's transformation. Carmen, Joy's assistant, recounted anecdotes of their courtship that left no doubt of their heartfelt bond. Even Anna's mother spoke of their authentic care for each other and for her daughter. Yet it was Dr. Elizabeth Warren, the pediatric oncologist who had cared for Anna, who delivered the most profound testimony. "I can tell you with absolute certainty when someone is genuinely grieving and when someone is performing for an audience." Harper and Joy Jackson's grief for Anna was authentic. Their love for each other is authentic. No one puts themselves through that kind of emotional pain for business purposes. For 3 long months, they lived under the cloud of uncertainty, but something beautiful emerged from the turmoil. Their love, already strong, became unbreakable. They learned to communicate in the face of pressure, support each other through public humiliation, and trust each other despite the world questioning their bond. "Whatever the outcome," Harper said one evening, as they strolled through their garden, the blossoms heavy with scent, "this experience has shown me something important." Joy turned to him, curiosity sparking in her heart. "What's that?" "That I would choose you again, Even knowing all this would happen, I would choose you in any circumstances, under any pressure, against any odds." He paused, turning to face her, sincerity in his gaze. "You're not just my wife, Joy. You're my partner, my best friend, the person who makes me want to be better than I ever thought possible." Tears glistened in Joy's eyes, mingling with the weight of stress. "Even if we lose everything—" "We won't lose everything," he reassured her, grounding her with his quiet confidence. "We'll still have each other, and that's everything that really matters." On a dreary Thursday morning in November, the kind of day where the sky weeps and the air feels heavy with anticipation, Joy and Harper found themselves seated in the somber confines of the courthouse. Months had passed since Marco, Joy's biological father, had filed his challenge. And now, the moment of truth arrived, echoing in the quiet murmurs of the gathered lawyers and reporters. The scent of wet wood and polished metal filled the room, mingling with the anxious energy that hung in the air like a storm cloud. As Judge Patricia Morrison began to read her findings, her voice resonated with authority. "After extensive investigation," she announced, her eyes scanning the room, "this court finds no evidence that the marriage between Harper Jackson and Elizabeth Reed Jackson was fraudulent or arranged solely for business purposes." Joy felt a rush of relief, one that swept through her like a warm breeze breaking through a winter chill. The judge continued, her words weaving a tapestry of justice that wrapped around Joy and Harper. While it is clear that practical considerations played a role in bringing these parties together, the evidence overwhelmingly supports that their relationship developed into genuine love and commitment. The court finds their marriage to be valid and legal. Joy's heart raced, her knees trembling as she grasped Harper's hand, grounding herself in this moment of triumph. Then came the turn of the knife as Judge Morrison's tone shifted, her gaze piercing through Marco's legal team like a lighthouse cutting through fog. Furthermore, this court finds Marco Daxton's claims regarding Eliza Reed's will to be completely without merit. The will was properly executed by a woman of sound mind who had every right to leave her estate to her daughter. As she addressed Marco directly, Joy felt a sense of power wielded over her past. "Your attempts to intimidate and control your daughter through legal manipulation have failed. This court hereby issues a restraining order preventing you from any further contact with Mrs. Jackson. Any violation will result in immediate arrest." Joy, once shackled by fear, watched her father's face contort with rage. But instead of terror, she felt a profound sense of liberation. Harper's grip on her hand was steadfast, a silent promise that together they could face anything. Outside, the reporters clamored for attention, but Joy and Harper walked past them like a couple reborn, their hearts light and their resolve unshakable. That evening, they hosted a celebration at the Jackson compound, a cozy gathering filled with laughter, love, and the warmth of supportive friends like Adam. Joy looked around, her heart swelling with gratitude for each person who had stood by them through the storm. "I want to say something," Harper announced, rising with a glass raised high. "6 months ago, my wife and I faced a challenge that could have destroyed our marriage before it really began. Instead, it showed us what we're made of when we stand together." He locked eyes with Joy, his love radiating from him like sunlight breaking through clouds. "But more than that, it showed me something about God's plan that I'd forgotten. I used to think God was distant, uninterested in our daily struggles. This experience taught me that He's intimately involved in our lives, working through even difficult circumstances to bring about good." Adam wiped away tears, moved by his son's rediscovered faith. Joy felt her heart stir as Harper continued, "You taught me that love isn't a liability, it's the greatest strength we possess. Thank you for seeing past my walls, for believing I could change, for choosing me even when choosing me was difficult." As applause erupted from their friends and family, Joy stood and kissed her husband, sealing their promise with a touch full of emotion. Later that night, as they prepared for bed in their shared sanctuary, Joy reflected on how far they had come. "Harper," she began, watching him brush his teeth, Do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't met Anna that night? He paused, contemplating the question. I think we still would have ended up here eventually. Maybe it would have taken longer. Maybe we would have had to work harder to find each other past all our defenses. But Joy, I believe God brought us together for a reason. What reason? She inquired, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. To teach each other how to love without fear. To show each other that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the foundation of real strength. A year after their wedding, Joy discovered she was pregnant, the news blooming in her heart with the promise of new life. On a sunny Tuesday morning, she meticulously planned how to reveal this blessing to Harper, deciding to recreate their first dinner at the same restaurant, the same corner table where he had once doubted his capacity for love. When Harper arrived, curiosity knitted on his brow. Joy felt a rush of anticipation. Everything is perfect, she assured him, her smile radiant. I wanted to come back here because this is where we started being honest with each other. Their conversation flowed, memories intertwining with hope. Harper took her hand, grounding them both in the now. Now I know that love isn't something you believe in. It's something you choose every day, even when it's difficult. Tears of joy welled in Joy's eyes as she prepared to share her secret. Harper, I have something to tell you. His concern was palpable as he leaned closer. What is it? We're going to have a baby. A breathtaking moment of silence enveloped them, before Harper's expression transformed into sheer, unbridled joy. A smile that outshone the sun. Are you serious? He whispered, disbelief tinged with exhilaration. Very serious, she laughed, her heart swelling with happiness. Instead of a verbal response, Harper dashed around the table and kissed her, drawing cheers from the other diners. I'm terrified, he confessed once he pulled away, his voice low and earnest. I'm also more excited than I've ever been in my life. As the months passed, pregnancy added new dimensions to their relationship. Harper, ever the protector, became almost comically attentive, treating Joy like fragile glass. You're carrying our child, he would insist, his eyes serious. That makes you the most precious thing in my world. Joy felt warmth flood her heart, marveling at the transformation of the man who once viewed love as weakness. Meanwhile, the Anna Foundation flourished under their collaborative efforts, becoming a beacon of hope in their community. One day, during a visit to a pediatric art therapy program, a little boy named Michael presented Joy with a painting, his innocent excitement infectious. It's my family, he explained proudly. That's my mom, that's my dad, and that's my baby sister who's in heaven now. Joy's heart ached at the mention of Anna, tears brimming in her eyes as she admired the artwork. It's beautiful, Michael, she whispered. Your sister would love it. As they left the hospital, Joy noticed Harper's contemplative silence. What are you thinking about? She asked as they drove home. I was thinking about Anna, he replied softly, his gaze distant. About how she taught me that love is stronger than fear. And I was thinking about our baby, about what kind of father I want to be. In that moment, Joy realized Anna's journey was only beginning. Love, once a hesitant choice, had become their guiding star, illuminating the path ahead in ways they could never have imagined. In the soft glow of a winter dawn, Harper found himself lost in thought, his heart tangled in a web of hopes and fears. The gentle hum of the world outside their cozy home was muffled by the thick snow blanketing the ground, creating a serene stillness that contrasted sharply with the turmoil within him. What kind of father do you want to be? Joy's voice, warm like the sun peeking through the frosted windows, broke through his reverie, pulling him from the chasm of uncertainty. Harper took a moment, his brow furrowing in concentration. The kind who isn't afraid to love completely. The kind who teaches our child that caring about people isn't weakness. It's the whole point of being human, he finally replied, his voice steady, yet vulnerable. Joy's hand reached out, her fingers intertwining with his, a simple gesture that spoke volumes of their bond. You're going to be an amazing father, she assured him, her eyes sparkling with conviction. How do you know? He asked, a hint of doubt lacing his words. Joy smiled softly, her gaze unwavering. Because you've learned how to choose love over fear. And that's the most important thing any parent can teach their child. It was a moment of revelation, one that marked the beginning of a journey he had once feared. 18 months later, on a snowy December morning, Harper felt his heart swell with indescribable emotions as a doctor placed a tiny bundle in his arms. The moment was monumental, transformative. Tears of joy streamed down his cheeks as he gazed at his daughter, a fragile being who had suddenly become his whole world. "Hello, Anna Elizabeth Jackson," he whispered, naming her after the little girl who had unknowingly taught them both about courage. Joy watched, her heart swelling with pride as she saw the fierce protectiveness radiate from her husband. This man, who had once been afraid to care for anyone, now cradled their daughter as if she were the most precious treasure. "She's perfect," Harper breathed, tears glistening in his eyes like the snow outside. Joy leaned closer, her heart full. "She's ours. She's the best of both of us." 5 years sped past, each moment weaving a tapestry of laughter and warmth within the Jackson home. Joy stood in the garden, soaked in the fragrant blooms of spring, while watching Harper push 4-year-old Anna Elizabeth on the swing he had installed beneath the dancing rose bushes. Their daughter, a delightful blend of her parents, was a beacon of joy, her laughter ringing through the crisp air. "Higher, Daddy," Anna squealed, her hair whipping in the breeze as she soared towards the sky. "Any higher and you'll fly away," Harper laughed, his eyes twinkling with delight as he pushed her higher. The love between them, vibrant and palpable. Joy smiled, a warm glow enveloping her as she remembered the cold, closed-off man she had met in that boardroom 6 years ago. Now he was transformed, filled with laughter and joy, choosing family dinners over business meetings, and shedding tears during animated children's movies, teaching Sunday school with the same passion he had once reserved for his career. "Mommy, come swing with me," Anna called out, her voice bright and inviting. Joy approached the swing set, her hand resting on her growing belly, a new life blossoming within her. They were expecting their second child, a boy they had chosen to name Marcus, honoring Harper's late brother. "I want to honor his memory," Harper had said one evening, his voice steady yet soft with emotion. "But more than that, I want our son to carry forward the good parts of who Marcus was, his creativity, his humor, his generous heart." Joy had agreed instantly, seeing it as another testament to Harper's healing journey. As she settled onto the swing next to Anna, Joy reflected on the path that had brought them to this moment. What had begun as a marriage forged in protection had blossomed into a love story that transformed both their lives, intertwining their destinies like the roots of the roses surrounding them, strong, vibrant, and beautifully intertwined.
The end. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for more Christian romance stories.